Hello, good evening. You're watching Awaz News. I'm Kubrali. We begin with the top stories shaping Canada today.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford is suggesting that the fate of 30 beluga whales being kept in captivity at Marineland in Niagara Falls is now in the hands of the federal government after it denied a request to send the animals to the facility in China. Ford made the comment during a media availability at Queen's Park on Wednesday morning, hours after Fisheries Minister Joanne Thompson issued a statement confirming that she would not grant an export permit to ship the whales to Kim Long Ocean Kingdom Aquarium. In her statement, Thompson said the shipping the mammals to the aquarium would have meant a continued life in captivity and a return to public entertainment. Refusing Marineland's request, she said, was consistent with a 2019 law that banned keeping whales and dolphins in captivity in Canada. Asked about the decision, Ford said that he was disappointed, adding, "If he want these whales to survive, we have to move them somewhere else." The Canadian press previously reported that 20 whales, one killer whale, and 19 belugas died at Marineland since 2019, with most recent death taking place in August. Ford said that the situation at Marineland is terrible, with the remaining whales crammed into a facility that is only about 1 acre in size. He said that while provincial inspectors are regularly visiting Marineland, the whales need a proper home. What we can do is not just going to China, we can look at other areas that will take these whales. We don't have to move all 30 in one shot. A couple here, a couple there, he said. We want them to survive, and if they don't, then, well, the federal government has to answer on that one. The Ontario government is not on track to meet its targets when it comes to affordable childcare. A new report from Ontario's Auditor General says with decreased enrollment for low-income families and poor tracking of available spaces, the province and the federal government signed the Canada-wide Early Learning and Childcare Agreement in March 2022, providing $10.23 billion over 5 years of the program, which aimed to bring down child care fees to an average of $10 a day by 2026. But by December 2024, only 36,000 spaces had been created over 5 years, just 3/4 of the government's targets of 48,000 spaces. Auditor General Shelley Spence found in a new report unveiled by her office Wednesday. Ironically, childcare enrollment has decreased by 31% for typically lower income families receiving the childcare fee subsidy compared to 2019. The auditor says the program has reduced childcare costs, increasing the demand for spaces and making it more difficult for families to find support. Spence also found that as of December 2023, there were some 80,500 program spaces in Ontario, 27% that did not have children enrolled because they were vacant or not operational. A proper website to help search for childcare spaces won't be ready until 2029. Ontario also committed to hiring 60% qualified employees for the sector by March 2026. The province measures that by the percentage of registered early childhood educator REC staff. The auditor found that the government will likely need to change its plans in order to achieve the program's target on an average $10 per day fee for parents by March 2026. Brampton City Council has voted unanimously to continue its automated speed enforcement ASE program despite Premier Doug Ford's promise to repeal the provincial legislation that allows municipalities to operate the cameras. The motion by Councillor Rovina Santos and backed by all councillors comes a week after Ford announced plans for legislation to remove more than 700 municipal speed cameras operating in 40 municipalities. Ford has repeatedly framed the cameras as a cash grab, but critics say dismantling them would undo years of progress on road safety and waste millions already invested. "I'm deeply disappointed by the Premier's decision," Santos said Wednesday. "This program saves lives." Like many other municipalities, Brampton has just completed installing new cameras and has made significant investments in this program, which has already reduced speeding, prevented collisions, and protected our most vulnerable residents. To dismantle it now undermines public safety and wastes taxpayer dollars, she added. Santos stressed that Brampton's program follows provincial best practices with ticketing thresholds based on expert consultation, 90-day advance signage, and all locations published online. Her motion called for continued use of Awaz while addressing provincial concerns through transparency and ensuring revenue goes directly back into the road safety initiatives. However, it should be noted that the legislation permitting the cameras is entirely under the purview of the provincial government. Fireworks could soon be completely off limits in the city of Mississauga. On Wednesday, City Council's General Committee considered an updated staff report that recommends a ban on consumer fireworks or those used by the public for outdoor enjoyment across the municipality. Prepared by Raj Seth, the city's Commissioner of Community Service, it calls for a full prohibition on the sale, distribution, possession, and use of consumer fireworks in Mississauga, adding that for failing to do so could unintentionally encourage greater fireworks use in Mississauga, resulting in additional enforcement pressures, increased safety risks, and avoidable neighborhood disturbances. Brampton, Milton, and Caledon have already imposed a full fireworks ban, while Toronto, Hamilton, and Burlington only permit people to set them off on Canada Day and Victoria Day. Currently, Mississauga allows residents to set off fireworks in their backyard without a city permit on 5 holidays: Diwali, New Year's Eve Day, Lunar New Year, Victoria Day, and Canada Day. Those who disobey the rules could face fines of up to $200,000. This action comes in response to a spike in the number of fireworks complaints in Mississauga, notably in regards to public safety and the use of fireworks outside the permitted days and times over the last 3 years. Last year, the municipality received just over 600 fireworks-related complaints compared to 180 in 2022. Mississauga councillors first began considering changes to the city's fireworks bylaw, which was most recently strengthened in the fall of 2023, almost a year ago. The city, in the meantime, undertook a public consultation and review. The federal government is limiting the number of Remembrance Day wreaths for MPs, while the Veterans Affairs Minister Office tells Awaz News the move is not part of the government's spending review and potential cuts. Awaz News obtained an email sent to MP offices by Veterans Affairs Minister Jill McKnight saying Veterans Affairs Canada is pleased to continue the wreaths for parliamentarians programs in 2025 with a revised format. An order form attached to the email notes those additional wreaths cost $115 plus shipping costs that will vary depending on quantities and delivery location. For MPs representing large geographical ridings, as many as 24 wreaths can be needed for the display at various cenotaphs and ceremonies in their regions during Veterans Week, November 15 to 11, and Remembrance Day, which could add up to double $1,000. Richards say Conservatives MPs will pay for additional wreaths as needed out of their MP operating budget, but doesn't think that should be the case. Richard says this move is part of the troubling pattern from the Liberals, citing a similar attempt to limit Remembrance Day wreaths in 2017 and slow rollout of the National Monument to Canada's mission in Afghanistan, which was announced in 2014 but isn't expected to be finished until 2028. A department spokesperson tells Awaz News the RED program was updated to more equitably distribute wreaths across regions, and changes are meant to right-size the program while better supporting veteran causes in communities across Canada. The department did not answer what was wrong with the program that prompted right-sizing. Councillor Brad Bradford says he intends to run for mayor of Toronto next year. The Beaches East York councillor made the announcement on Wednesday. The mayoral election is more than a year away. Bradford also ran for mayor in 2023 mayoral by-election, finishing 8th and losing to Olivia Chow. A liaison strategies poll in July found that Bradford would be one of the Mayor Olivia Chow's closest competitors if former Mayor John Tory does not put his name on the ballot. Chow has not formally announced if she is seeking re-election, while Tory has said he does not have immediate plans to run. A Brampton man who tried to exact his revenge on an ex-girlfriend by attempting to beat her 5-year-old son to death has been sentenced to life in prison for the extraordinarily brutal 2018 attack, a judge has ruled. Dion Smart, 35, was previously found guilty of attempted murder for the heinous assault, which took place on the morning of July 19, 2018. Shortly after 5 a.m. that day, Smart lured the child, who was wearing only pajamas and running shoes, out of his bed and into a wooded area. It was their Superior Court Justice James Tribupoulos said that Smart repeatedly stomped on the little boy's face, head and torso. At some point during the relentless attack, Smart used a rope-like cloth to try to asphyxiate the boy, identified only as D due to publication ban. Confident that he had killed D, Mr. Smart left the little boy's seemingly lifeless body concealed in an area shrouded by trees and bushes. Tribupoulos wrote in his recently released reasons for sentence. He attempted to cover up the ghastly crime back at the boy's home, the judge said, and the child was discovered by a police officer with the canine unit a couple hours later. D was rushed to the local hospital and later transferred to sick kids for further treatment. The judge noted that D suffered bleeding around his brain, a fractured jaw, rib fractures, and tears and bruises to his liver that are typically consistent with multi-story falls, significant motor vehicle collisions, and other high-velocity traumatic events. While he survived the assault, the boy endured a long road to recovery, having to learn how to walk and talk again. Tribupoulos said the crime entirely senseless and horrific. According to court documents, Smart met the boy's mother in the summer of 2016. The two developed a romantic relationship and at one point became engaged. Smart and D developed a close bond over the course of the relationship, and D came to see Mr. Smart as his stepdad, the judge wrote. According to the court documents, Smart's drug use created problems in the relationship, which eventually ended in December 2017.
That's for all tonight. This is Kubrali. You're watching Awaz News. Have a wonderful evening.